playing professional basketball during the season, but it won't be for the WNBA.
Chennedy Carter just dropped a bombshell, and it's not the good kind. She's officially banned from the WNBA for her brilliant move against Caitlin Clark last season. Yep, while the new season is about to kick off, Carter's nowhere in sight, and you can bet she's begging for a second chance.
It was just crazy, like ESPN SportsCenter, just reporters saying vulgar things towards me. A lot of just disrespect, but I mean, it comes with being a black female athlete.
But here's the thing, girl. When you mess with Clark, you better be ready for her fans to make you regret it, because they do not forget. And believe me, I won't sugarcoat it. Chennedy Carter was on a rocket ship to the WNBA stars. She was absolutely killing it in the 2024 season, leading the Chicago Sky with a career-high 17.5 points per game. Fans were ready to crown her the next big thing in the league. In a league that's always searching for offensive firepower, Carter seemed like the answer. But surprise, surprise, one bad decision, and boom, the fall from grace was real.
It looks like her conduct has gotten her booted out of the league, and she may not be officially blackballed, blacklisted, but it looks like she's blacklisted.
Let's just roll the tape back to June 1st, 2024. The Chicago Sky were facing the Indiana Fever, and it was one of those close games where you could feel the tension in the air. Enter Chennedy Carter.
Slammed into Caitlin Clark and called her a bitch.
She collided with Caitlin Clark, and it wasn't a light bump. No, Carter pulled a full-on calculated hip check straight into Clark, sending the Rookie of the Year crashing to the floor.
But she's out of the league.
Now, this wasn't some accidental stumble. This was a cold, hard, flagrant foul. Initially, the refs called it a regular foul, but once they saw the replay, they upgraded it to flagrant. And that's when the fireworks really started.
Knocked Caitlin Clark to the floor. We all saw it, a flagrant foul. And many people, including myself, thought it was borderline assault. It was awful.
Fans, analysts, and commentators went wild. Some thought it was just a moment of frustration. Others were like, personal vendetta? Because let's be honest, Caitlin Clark was the breakout star of the WNBA in 2024, and Chennedy wasn't exactly lighting the league on fire with the same kind of hype.
Carter's response after the game, quote, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." Now, I did a video the other day. She was on a podcast. She further explained her action.
But then Carter's response was the real cherry on top of this mess. Instead of owning it or showing a bit of remorse, she basically shrugged it off. In an interview, she dropped this absolute gem. "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." So, no apologies, no regret, just a giant middle finger to the situation.
Carter has elected to join a different league as she awaits another shot at the WNBA. Chennedy Carter has taken her talents to the Mexican, and I'm not even trying to pronounce that.
And after that, it was clear. She didn't just burn bridges with the fans. She lit them up, threw gasoline on the fire, and then laughed while watching them burn. And that's when the fallout really hit. The Chicago Sky, once her team, was gone. They didn't renew her contract. Her attitude, the drama, it all created too much tension in the locker room. Reports started circling that her teammates weren't too keen on sharing space with someone who couldn't own up to her mistakes. And here's the kicker. Despite her talent, not a single other WNBA team was interested.
The LMBPF, long story short, it's in Mexico, and it looks like a women's Mexican basketball league, professional basketball league.
So, with nowhere else to turn, Carter had to pack her bags and head south to Mexico, signing with Adelita de Chihuahua. Now she's grinding in a league that, while decent, is definitely a step down. Sure, the pay might be better in some cases, but the competition? Not quite the same level.
Pure offensive weapon if she was still on that team. Now, there's a world where Camila Cardoso...
It's difficult to overstate just how significant it is for a player of Carter's skill to go without a contract offer, especially after a standout season. For anyone watching the WNBA, it was clear that Carter had the ability to be a game changer. Her offensive game was sharp, her scoring ability was unmatched, and she could have been a key player for any team looking to compete.
Playing professional basketball during the season, but it won't be for the WNBA.
Yet, after the Sky decided not to extend her contract and no other team stepped forward with an offer, it became obvious that Carter wasn't just being judged on her skills. It was her behavior that kept her out. The league's emphasis on professionalism and team culture outweighed any on-court potential, leaving Carter sidelined and without a chance to further prove herself.
Joining a women's basketball league in Mexico, the WNBA thing looks like a wrap for her for now.
The reasons behind the WNBA's collective decision to not take a risk on Carter are rooted in more than just her controversial actions. The WNBA, like any professional sports league, values team chemistry, and Carter's refusal to take responsibility for her actions in the Caitlin Clark incident created a massive red flag for potential suitors.
Man, I could be in the WNBA right now, starting on a team, being their leading scorer. I've got to get my temper and my head under control. I got to figure it out somehow.
Carter's dismissive attitude and her failure to show accountability suggested to team executives that she might be a disruptive force, both on and off the court. In an era where team cohesion and public image are more important than ever, no team wanted to risk signing a player who might undermine their culture, no matter how talented she was.
Because the season's about to start, honestly, I thought she would end up being at least a sixth man on one of these teams. Or the Golden State Valkyries would sign her, be in an expansion club.
This decision to not offer her a contract sparked a public debate about the concept of blackballing. Was Carter's punishment too harsh for a single incident? Many argued that her talent was undeniable, and the level of public shaming she received was disproportionate to her actions. After all, athletes make mistakes. They're human, and they're subject to the same emotions and frustrations as anyone else.
She just came off of playing in China, where she scored like 30-something points a game. There's no doubt Chennedy Carter is extremely talented, but she's got to get her head screwed on straight. Maybe this is a wake-up call.
Some felt that Carter had been given a harsher penalty than necessary for what was, in the grand scheme of things, just one on-court incident. Others, however, pointed out that it wasn't just the foul that mattered. It was the complete lack of remorse and her refusal to address the situation in a mature way. In a sport where professionalism is essential, many argued that Carter's actions couldn't be excused, and the WNBA had every right to take a hard stance on her behavior.
I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
After a lengthy period of waiting for a call from the WNBA, Carter made the bold decision to sign with the Mexican Women's Professional Basketball League, the LMBPF. While this move was seen by some as a fresh start, it was also a stark reminder of how far Carter had fallen from the prestige of the WNBA.
And it looked like Chennedy Carter has finally broken her silence about this Caitlin Clark situation. Chennedy Carter just jumped out the window and justified an assault.
Signing with a league in Mexico was a significant step down, but it gave her the opportunity to continue playing professionally. The LMBPF, while offering competitive salaries, especially in comparison to the WNBA, does not carry the same level of recognition or visibility. For Carter, it was a humbling new start, one that allowed her to continue playing the game she loved, but also forced her to step outside the spotlight of the WNBA.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Whether Carter's move to the Mexican League is a temporary detour or a permanent exit from the WNBA remains to be seen. It's possible that she'll use this time to rebuild her image, focus on her game, and return to the U.S. ready to prove herself again. But there's also the possibility that her time in the WNBA is truly over, and the Mexican League could represent the final chapter in a career that, at one point, seemed destined for greatness.
basically saying she was a detriment to the team and the team culture. So then the Atlanta Dream decided to trade her to the Sparks.
Many have drawn comparisons to former Major League Baseball players who found themselves in lesser leagues after being blackballed or falling out of favor with the big leagues. Just as baseball players once headed to the Mexican League for a second shot, Carter now faces a similar fate in the basketball world. While some might see this as a step down, others view it as an opportunity for her to get back to basics and prove herself on a different stage.
She turned to you a little bit
Yeah.
after the Fever
I ain't
score.
answering no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
Financially, the move to Mexico might offer some stability, especially considering that international leagues like the LMBPF sometimes pay better than the WNBA, particularly for players who have fallen out of favor. This could provide Carter with the means to support herself and continue playing the game she loves, even if it's no longer on the grandest stage. However, the move is undeniably a blow to her career, and it raises the question of whether Carter will ever return to the level she once occupied in the WNBA.
Training camps start for teams in 7 days. Training camp for a majority of the WNBA start April the 27th. Chennedy Carter is not on any WNBA roster. Want to know why? Because it's Chennedy Carter's fault she's not on any WNBA roster.
Public reaction to Carter's decision to sign with the LMBPF has been mixed. Some fans view it as a humbling reality check, acknowledging that Carter needs to recalibrate and get her career back on track. Others sympathize with her and see the move as a necessary step in rebuilding her professional life after the fallout from the WNBA. But no matter how fans feel, the reality is clear. Carter's career has taken a significant turn, and it's unclear whether she'll ever return to the WNBA or if she'll carve out a successful career abroad instead.
Yelling in my face, and then we go down the court. Then I hit like a little bucket, you feel me? Come down, hit like a little nice little mid-range pull-up. And then I just just give her like a little, like, I'm here. Like, I don't think it was, what's crazy? Me and my brother went back and watched, and we seen a lot of clips in the NBA of guys getting like pushing LeBron. Like, I think it was Jeff Teague or somebody who like pushed LeBron out of bounds, like said, man, I was mad because like we couldn't stop him.
In the midst of all of this, the WNBA has entered a new era. The league is placing increasing emphasis on professionalism, not just talent. In the past, pure skill could carry a player far, but today's WNBA values character and behavior just as much as shooting percentages and scoring titles. With players like Caitlin Clark becoming the faces of this new league, players who handle themselves with maturity, focus, and grace, Carter's downfall serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of ignoring those values. The WNBA is no longer a league where behavior is overlooked. Today, to succeed, players must demonstrate both skill and character. And in the case of Carter, her refusal to acknowledge her mistakes may have been the final nail in the coffin of her WNBA career. So what do you think? Was the WNBA right to blacklist Chennedy Carter, or did she deserve a second chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.